Good morning, Year 4. How are you? And welcome to today's English lesson. In today's lesson, you're going to be editing your diary entries that you have written yesterday. And by the end of this session, you will be able to use a checklist to help you identify the features that you've included in your diary entry and also the features that you haven't included. And then you will be able to edit your diary entry from yesterday to include all of the features of a diary entry and really make it the best that you can make it. Okay, now I do have a retrieval question, well, two questions for you here. So I'm going to give you a definition. So the definition is trembling or shaking with a slight rapid motion. And I want to know what is the word that definition is for. And then number two, what does this picture here tell you about what crannies are? So these are two of our things that we've learned in our reading lessons. So pause the video here now, please, and have a go at these two retrieval questions. Off you go. Okay, did you find out what the word was? And I had this little picture here to try and help you and give you some clues, but the word is quivering. So if you are quivering, your body or something is trembling or shaking quite quickly, quite rapidly. And then secondly, then this picture, well, we can see that the crannies are small, narrow spaces. Such here in the bark, there are crannies because there are small, narrow spaces. And we know in the rainforest, there were lots and lots of crannies there too. That's what Fred said. Okay, so yesterday you wrote your diary entry and I'm sure they were absolutely fantastic. But we do need to edit and improve it because you might not have included all of the features that a diary entry needs. Or maybe you could add some more to make it even better and a higher quality. So here is my diary entry that I wrote with you yesterday. And I've just color coded it to show you that the words in red are my introduction. The words in blue are my main events, and we can see this is probably the largest section of all four of them. The section in green are my other events, and then my section in orange is my conclusion. And I've got my diary entry here because today I'm really going to focus on all of the features and really try and spot them in my diary entry. And that's going to help me to edit it and know what I need to include to make it even better. So what I would like you to do for a starter is read my diary entry here. Is there anything that you like or anything that you think I need to change or any features that you think I haven't included? So can you pause the video now and read my diary entry and just maybe think of a few feedback notes for me and think, oh, Miss Newman, if I were you, I would have done this differently. Or, oh wow, you've really done this really brilliantly, Miss Newman. Okay, pause the video now and have a read, please. Okay, did you spot lots of things that maybe did go well, but also things that I could have added? Maybe you did, so fantastic. And that's what we're going to do today. And we are going to use this checklist here to help us to decide what features that we haven't included yet and what features we do need to include. So I can see here I've got all of the features of a diary entry here. I've got the date or the time, written in first person using past tense, including an introduction to set the scene using those W's. Tell events in a chronological order, that means an order that goes from start to finish, not randomly. Have I included my personal feelings and emotions, and with that comes that ambitious vocabulary? Have I used time conjunctions and time adverbials to tell my reader when something has happened? So after that, before lunch, until sunset. And we're going to think about today including the date and the time. And I'm going to think, yes, I have included the date because I've highlighted it here. And then I can tick my box because as if you're the child, as if I'm the child, I can tick my box to say that yes, I have included the date. So that's my first feature of a diary that I have included, and I can tick that off my tick list. And then I'm thinking, well, have I written in first person? And I'm going to read my diary and know that first person means those first person pronouns. So I, my, our. And I can see here that I said I worked out that I was in the Amazon rainforest. And to really make sure I've used them in all my paragraphs, I'm going to read in each paragraph to try and find some more first person pronouns so I can really tick this box. And I can see here that I've used I again. I decided. I found a den. In my third paragraph, I saw a mischievous cheeky monkey. I was immersing myself into the rainforest climate. I hope tomorrow will be a better day. So, have I included these first person pronouns? Yes, I absolutely have. And I've highlighted some of these in green. And when you're thinking about your diary entry today and whether or not you've included these features, you do not need to highlight them yourself. You just need to look and read through your text one feature at a time. So I've identified that I have written in the first person, and now I'm going to have a go at identifying whether or not I've written in the past tense. Now, if you haven't written in first person, you would have to put a dot here because you'd know that you need to change that when it comes to editing. So this is really going to help you pinpoint those areas and those features that you really need to make sure you include. Okay, so have I used past tense? And I'm thinking of those past tense verbs. So have I included those past tense verbs? Okay, let's have a read. Okay, after a while, I worked out, that ed suffix, worked. I was stranded, that ed suffix, stranded, adding that to make that stranded. It happened before. I decided. And I'm going to carry on reading and I'm going to say that actually I have included lots of past tense verbs. And just so you can see year 4, I've highlighted them here to show you my past tense verbs. I rubbed lots of tiny delicate ants in my hands and slowly climbed the tree. So I can definitely tick that box to show that yes, I have included past tense. Have I included an introduction to set the scene, including my 5 W's, but in this case we only used 4 of them? Well, everyone should have this as a tick if you followed your diary entry plan, because your introduction is this bit that I've colour-coded in red here, stating that what happened, why it happened, who it happened to, when it happened, where it happened. Okay, so everyone should have that. They've absolutely included an introduction. Have you told events in a chronological order? Well, have you included events that happen one after the other? I have indeed. So I can see that I can start by saying that one thing I was proud of, that I've made this den, but it didn't have a roof. Then I went foraging, I went searching for food, and then after that I saw a monkey. So then I rubbed these ants in my hands. I haven't said, I made a den. But before that I did this. And then after the den I did this, because that would be a bit all over the place. You need to make sure that your ideas are in a chronological order, one after the other. So yes, I have told events in a chronological order. Have I used personal emotions and feelings though? I mean, I have, because I've stated here, I still feel incredibly worried. I was curious. Have I got any others here? Well, you can see here that I've got a few. I couldn't wait. I want. But I wouldn't say I've included that many personal emotions and feelings. And this is where I can put my dot in this section, in this box, to show that actually I need to include a lot more personal emotions and feelings. And that to me tells me that when I go back and edit my writing in a moment, that's what I need to do. Have I used time conjunctions and adverbials then? Well, I can see that I have got here after a while, soon, after that, but I've only got 3. I have not got enough. So I've put a dot there as well to show me that I need to definitely include more time adverbials to tell my reader when something is happening. And finally, have I included ambitious vocabulary that stands alongside those personal emotions and feelings? Well, all of my bits in red here is examples of ambitious vocabulary. Can you just take a moment to read the parts in red that identify the ambitious vocabulary that I've used, please? So pause the video here and have a look. What do you notice about my ambitious vocabulary? What have I done? Pause the video. Okay, can you see that I've used lots of these examples? So the exhilarating, fun-filled holiday, a mischievous, cheeky monkey, tiny, delicate ants. What are they examples of? That's right, they're examples of expanded noun phrases. And that's what I want you to try and get in your writing today if you haven't already. If you're describing something, or if you're talking about something such as a monkey, such as a den or some leaves, I want you to really try and include an expanded noun phrase and to really show what they looked like. So yes, you might have saw a monkey, but what type of monkey? It was a mischievous, cheeky monkey. And that automatically includes that ambitious vocabulary in your writing. As well, here I've got these words carefully exploring. So if you were carefully exploring, that makes it a lot different to whether or not you were just exploring. You could have been exploring in other ways, but you were exploring carefully. And that to me is an example of ambitious vocabulary. You're really telling your reader how you've done something, which is amazing. Okay, so we need to really make sure that if you haven't got your ambitious vocabulary in today, that you really try hard to get that in. Okay, now we have identified and we can use our checklist to know what I need to add in my writing. And I can see here I have got ticks next to all of my features apart from where it says personal emotions and feelings and time conjunctions and adverbials. So I know that when I come to edit my writing now that I am going to make sure that I include these. So I have got my diary in front of me now and I have got my checklist to the side of me to know that I need to include personal emotions and feelings more and also more time adverbials. And I'm going to focus on reading all of my diary, and then after every sentence I'm going to think, well, how can I make that better? And you're going to help me too. So my first focus is going to be including personal emotions and feelings. So, dear diary, today has been a disaster. Something terrifying happened to the pilot. He lost control over the plane and it crashed into a rainforest. Well, I definitely think I can probably add some personal feelings in here. So why don't I say after that sentence, I didn't know what to do. I felt so vulnerable being in the middle of nowhere, alone. So I've added that little sentence, but that really tells the reader how I was feeling. I felt so vulnerable. That means where you're feeling a little bit like you can't really control what's going on. Okay. Now we've got this time conjunction, adverbial here and time conjunction after a while, so that's fantastic. I worked out that I was in the Amazon rainforest, but that I was also stranded and alone, surrounded by nothing but millions of plants and insects. Now I've got this sentence here, well, these words, stranded and alone, but I've already included the word alone here. So really I want to change that now to make sure that I'm not repeating myself too much. And I'm also going to change this sentence here, where I state that I worked out that I was in the Amazon rainforest. Because how did I work that out? What gave me that opinion? So what gave me that opinion is that I actually began looking around me to see if I recognised any of my surroundings. But there was nothing but millions of plants and insects around me. So I've changed that whole sentence now to really be different and include the fact that I knew that I was in the Amazon rainforest, not because I knew, but because I used my senses, I used my eyes around me, looking around me to see what I could see. And then I can continue by reading, this was definitely not the exhilarating, fun-filled holiday that I had in mind. I was completely and utterly lost in the middle of nowhere. And we can see some more repetition here, in the middle of nowhere. Well, I've already mentioned in the middle of nowhere here, and we really don't want to be repeating ourselves. So what we could do is we could change that bit in the middle of nowhere, and we could add something that we feel. So I was completely and utterly lost. I felt so helpless. So there we've got another feeling, and automatically in my introduction I've not only changed my sentence around, which I've changed in blue, but I've also added 2 extra personal emotions and feelings. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to carry on reading the rest of my diary entry to see what else I can change. And that's what I'm going to do in part 2 of this video. So please make sure that you do go over to part 2 now, because that's going to help you out a lot when knowing what to do with your diary entry, okay? So I will see you in part 2.